Hey everyone, I'm Carolyn, and I'm one half of Just Two Asian Women, where we have candid conversations with my co-host Davy about whatever the hell we want to talk about with an intersectional flair. That being said, today's topic is a continuation of our previous episode, which is about friendships. But in this episode, Davy and I are going to talk about our experiences with toxic friendships. Now, there is a trigger warning for discussions of suicide and bullying. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and let's get into it. We talked about what we look for in a friendship, how we feel like we're a good friend. Talked about how friendships die all the time and it's totally fine. But now we get to talk about the real tea.
Yes.
Which is a toxic ass friend, which we hate, by the way.
Yeah.
God, toxic friends. Where do we even begin? I feel like a toxic friend, literally someone who drags you down in all aspects.
Yes.
In every way.
Yes.
And they literally don't care about you, even though they say they do, but they don't.
Yeah, for example, oh my God, toxic friend, you hang out with them, after you hang out with them, you didn't like how you felt.
Nope.
That's pretty much it. Like, you feel wrong. You felt wrong hanging out with them, and you don't quite know why, but you do. You feel it.
And you don't even need a good reason. If the vibes are off, then they're off. And that's that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going to get into some good toxic friendship stories. Good in good as in an entertaining way.
And lesson learning, yes.
In lesson learning kind of way.
Yeah.
Do you want to start off, Toffee?
Yeah, we can go back and forth. Each of us have two.
Yes.
I'll try my best to summarize thesis and all that because my storytelling, y'all, storytelling is a skill, okay?
It truly is. I go on and on and on and on. Tito hates me for it. He's all like, what is the point, bitch?
He's like, and then?
Okay. Literally.
Well, what?
And I'm all like, the audacity. I'm a storyteller. How dare you?
Yeah, it was so funny. I think last week Karen was like, hey, I have some tea for you. I was like, okay. She was like, do you want the thesis first or do you want me to just go for it? I was like, girl, you better give me the fucking thesis. I'm about to find out the thesis.
So I don't even know if you're gonna tell it to me.
Yeah, you sure knows? Because that shit is hard.
Yeah. That's why they have to teach it to you in school.
I know. Dude, the thesis is so hard.
Yeah.
Now we're just like, wait, it's just the whole one sentence. What is it about?
Yes. Okay. That being said, we'll dive into Davy's first toxic friendship story and then how it got resolved. And maybe you'll find, hopefully you didn't go through this, but maybe you'll find some similarities in how you can get through it.
Yeah, and if you didn't, maybe it's just entertaining.
Exactly.
Yes. Alrighty, and we're going to be using different names to respect their privacy, maybe withhold their integrity. I don't really know about that. But, all right. And just know, with storytelling, we're all biased, but I'm trying to be as objective to me. Mm-hmm. But whatever. All right, let's go ahead and start out with Phoebe. I'm going to be using names from Friends, the show. So to give you a quick thesis is that I was friends with Phoebe through a mutual friend. Okay, let's call my friend at the time Phoebe Chandler. So Phoebe is the toxic friend. Chandler is the mutual friend I met Phoebe through.
Okay.
Phoebe turns out to be manipulative and narcissistic. And that took me months to finally come to terms with and realize. And at the end, we're not friends. And I'll tell you, I ghosted them. And we can get into that. That's a little bit controversial. So I met Phoebe through my roommate at the time, Chandler, and they were great friends. Whenever I saw them hang out, they were having a great time, and I really wanted to be a part of that, which I was. And we had a really awesome time, laughing, listening to music, playing music, and it just felt so right. However, though, after spending more time with them, I noticed that Phoebe and Chandler started having a lot of arguments as friends, and they've been friends for a few years. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty normal. They had a blowout, and I'm closer to my roommate Chandler, and I was like, hey Chandler, what happened? We had another fight. Oh, Phoebe's so annoying. Oh my gosh, so narcissistic. Only cares about herself. And I was just like, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. I don't want to be in the middle. Okay, that's what I was really afraid of. So I just try to keep neutral, just hear them out. But then I think Phoebe was starting to get closer to me. My roommate and I were just hanging out, and then I texted Phoebe saying, "Hey, like, so let's try to get back together and hang out again, like, resolve some of the issues you guys have had." And then Phoebe goes, "Oh, I would, but I'm in the hospital right now. I tried to kill myself."
Oh my,
Yeah.
oh my, oh my God.
Yeah. It was really unexpected.
That's actually really serious.
Yeah, it was so serious. We had no idea that she was going through suicidal ideations.
Mm.
And when I told my roommate and friend Chandler that she tried to kill herself, my roommate felt so distraught and guilty because they literally just had an argument and said, "Hey, we should like give each other space. We don't, really want to be friends right now." And we visited Phoebe right away at the hospital and was like, I'm okay. Like, I tried to hurt myself. This might be a trigger warning in a little bit. I maybe
Right.
might be too late, sorry, but
We might put a trigger warning like just at the top of the episode.
yeah,
In.
totally. Trigger warning. Phoebe had swallowed a bunch of pills and drank alcohol, but luckily their roommate at the time found them in the bathtub and called the paramedics right away and were able to save them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine that is traumatic. Like you just had an argument with a friend and then they try to kill themselves and you feel like you were the reason why they did that.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was really hard. But then luckily, Phoebe got some help, got some therapy after. And then Phoebe and I were still friends. Like she was still communicating with me, but she was not communicating with Chandler. And Chandler was like, "Hey, Dobby, like, have you heard from Phoebe? Like, what's going on with her?" I was like, I haven't really heard from them." Kind of lying because I was like, "Oh my God, I really don't want to be in the middle of this. Like, I have a feeling this is what happened." And then, Chandler's so like concerned, like, "Hey, Dobby, have you heard from Phoebe yet?" And I just told Phoebe, I was like, "Hey, listen, I feel like you really need to talk to Chandler because like they're really concerned about you and like you're not replying back to them and I'm having to hear it. So I feel like can you at least just tell them how you feel so they can stop talking to me about you?" And then Phoebe goes, "What? Like Chandler's still talking to you and asking about me? Like I don't want to talk to Chandler. I don't want to talk to her.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let them know to stop harassing you." And I was like, okay, that was a little bit dramatic, but I was like, okay. So Phoebe writes Chandler this letter and she asked me, "Do you want to see it?" I was like, not really. Like, and then Chandler receives the letter. And then when I got home one day, Chandler was like, "Davi, you and I are not friends anymore. We are just roommates. We're only going to act civil together."
Oh my God.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened? So I was like, oh my God, Phoebe, what the fuck did you write in that letter? I did not want to be a part of this. And that's exactly what happened.
In the letter, it was like, Dobby said you're a bitch and we hate you.
Probably. So I was just like, God damn it. I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then, I just respected Chandler's boundaries and I didn't want to ask, "Hey, what did you write? What did you read in that letter?" Because I just want to, I'm like kind of like passive, like sometimes I'm passive aggressive, but anyway. So as I'm friends with Phoebe, I'm like realizing, oh my God, like she kind of manipulative and dependent on me. So she doesn't drive because she had a DUI. And I was okay with like driving her to get her medicine, drive if I was going somewhere and she wanted to come along. Yeah, why not? But then one day she was kind of like, "Hey, Dobby, like, can you drive me to the mall?" Phoebe asked me that. And I was like, "No, I'm good. Like, I don't want to go shopping." And she was like, "Oh, well, like," I was like, she was like, "Oh, well, I want to go shopping." I was like, "Oh, you can spend $5 using the trolley to the mall." And she was like, "Oh, just take me. Like, if you drive me, like, we'll have like quality time on our way there."
And she gets a little extra too.
Yeah. And I was like, "Phoebe, that's not quality time."
That's a shuttle.
Yeah, no, yeah. Toot toot, toot toot. Get in, bitches. We're going to the mall. Next stop, Mission Valley, Fashion Valley. This is in San Diego, by the way.
Yep.
So I'm kind of noticing these patterns because she does that with her friends too. And then there's a lot of other stuff. She was also a sugar baby, and I felt like I was a little bit judgmental back then about that. But I just felt really worried about her like safety was all. Like she had gone to Vegas with her sugar daddy after knowing him for a week, and I was just like,
oh wow.
I was the only person who knew about that. So I was like, if something happened to her, I would have to tell her parents. I did not feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot.
Yeah, dude. So then basically the final straw was like, one day I already like went over to Phoebe's apartment and watched TV, and then the next day we're planning to do the same thing. But I told Phoebe, hey, like I'm kind of tired, like I won't be able to make it tonight on like Facebook Messenger, and she replies back, okay, like that's not how you talk to someone. Like if you're gonna cancel plans with somebody, you ask them if they can cancel. And I was like, what?
I'm laughing at the absurdity.
Yes. I
Like
was
the
like,
audacity.
the audacity, the absurdity.
It's like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, please go. I want you to commentate.
But it's like, obviously, maybe some people listening are like, oh, why not? That's very direct. It's kind of an asshole thing to do because Davy doesn't owe anyone anything, right? Like, she doesn't need to go through these multiple steps. All she needs to do is tell them that they don't want to go. Davy doesn't even need to give you a motherfucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is be like, I don't want to do it anymore, and that's that. And maybe the other person will be a little pressed, but otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally. You know, and like sometimes, I did feel like I have to give an explanation just to be a little bit persuasive or something. I don't know. I was like, yeah, I'm just tired. Like I'm tired from work, and she didn't respect the boundary. She was like, she replied back trying to tell me how to talk.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like, bro, I know how to talk. I know how to be courteous. Like, do not tell me how to fucking speak. And then this is me being nice. I was like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, it seems that way, but I'm just like letting you know. Da, da, da. And after that, like, she didn't reply back to me. You know, I was like, all right, you know, if you need some time to calm down, that's cool. So, and then during work the next day, I get like this long ass rant from her on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, she's like, you know, Dobby, sometimes I feel like you think our friendship is transactional. Like, I'll do things for you and you feel like you need to pay me and like this and that. And then I was just like, you know, Phoebe, like sometimes like friendships are a little bit transactional in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you
I
do
agree, yeah.
I do one thing for you, stuff like that. But I kind of told her, you know, like, I feel like you kind of treat it transactional because at the time she was asking me to borrow money a lot and she would pay me back. But I just felt like I'm not your piggy bank. I'm not your bank account, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and also she was like, hey, Dobby, like, do you want to go to the beach? Like, me and blah, blah, blah are going. And I was like, yeah, is your friend gonna like drive? And like, she's like, no. And I was like, all right, then you're assuming that I'm taking you I'm taking you guys because I have a car.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, you know, kind of stand up for myself. I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like it is a little bit transactional. So, and then she didn't like that, of course.
And right. Then, because you're like, what's the word? You're questioning her power?
Yeah, absolutely. When you are like challenging people who are narcissistic, because they're narcissistic, they are very smart. Like she is very, very smart. Like I'll give her that. Like educationally street smart as well. So when they feel challenged or they're called out on their bullshit, they get upset.
Oh, definitely. And people, when they feel like their power is slipping away, they will just explode at any little thing, right?
And that is exactly what happened. When I called her out for that, she like messaged me like 4 long paragraphs. Yeah, and I was just like, oh my gosh, Chandler, you're right, bro. Because Chandler did tell me like, heads up, you know, I feel like she's replacing you with me. And I was like, oh god damn it. I just read the paragraphs and it was so non-forgiving. Like she didn't call me bad words, but she just like not taking any responsibility. I tried to be like, sorry, I came off like that. You know, I tried to be compassionate, but she was giving me nothing back. Defensive, hard, and not taking no for an answer so I was just like, at that point, I don't know how long we've been friends, like maybe over like 6-7 months, but I just kind of saw all the red flags and this kind of just like came down to this where I was like, all right, this is very clear. You're not backing down. And in a friendship, we need compromise. Yeah. So at that point, I thought it was fine to ghost her. I said, I'm done. And then I just blocked her on everything. And that's how the cookie crumbled. I feel like that's not even ghosting because you replied to her. My memory's a little bit faint right now. Let's just say, knowing myself back then, I was like not confrontational. I probably ghosted her. Okay, for sure. But yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I think I ghosted her. So for the sake of this podcast, you ghosted her. Yeah, for the sake of this podcast, I ghosted her. God, she obviously, I wish her the best
And
Me too. I still do. Yeah.
for there's no malice. Like obviously they did shitty things, but it's like, who is it gonna help if they're like, if I hope that they're still a shitty person in the future, right?
Yeah. Well,
So I hope she
like
got the help that she needed.
exactly. Like I give her credit. Like she was a good friend in a lot of ways. Like she was
Mhm.
very supportive, heard me out, hung out with me, but the cons outweigh the pros.
Yeah, and isn't that so interesting that she was like, "Oh, you think this relationship is transactional," but from your account, she was the one who was making it transactional, right? Like she would be the
Yeah,
one inviting you only because she just wanted you there, but because she needed you to drive,
exactly.
right? That's pretty transactional. I would also say manipulative as well because you're not being direct. Like, why not just be like, Davi, we really want to go to the beach, but we don't want to take Uber or any type of public transportation, and we don't have cars. Like, maybe you could drive us, and that would be awesome. And then you could hang out with us too, and we'll pay you for gas money, as you
Yes.
should. People pay your
Yes.
drivers.
Like if she just went about it that way, I'd be like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But to the point where it's like, hey, we're going to the beach, kind of like make it seem like they already have a ride and just
Mhm.
inviting me for fun. But then turns out, oh, we need you to
Yeah.
go. And then I'm like, what the fuck?
It's
It's a
almost
setup.
kind of like, sorry, go on.
Oh, I said it's a setup.
It is a setup, it's trying to be a little sneaky, but it's like, why the fuck would you do that?
You can't sneaky on the deaky, okay?
No, no, not on Davi.
Yeah. I just have other points to prove that she's like narcissistic. I
Mhm.
don't know, just only thinking about herself because like she didn't pull this just on me. Like she had one of her friends who worked at like a guitar shop and oh, this I guess prior, so she really likes to play the guitar, Phoebe. And she asked one of her friends if she can get a discount on a guitar because he works at the guitar center or whatever.
Mhm.
And he had tried, but he couldn't. And then she took it really personally. She was complaining to me. She's like, I've done so much for this friend. Like I even helped him get back with his girlfriend um, and he can't do this for me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, he had no control
Mhm.
over to give you a discount. And two, you should have helped him out of just being a good friend,
I
not
agree.
getting something back. I hate it when people do that shit.
Yes, right. It's like she is keeping an internal scoreboard in her head, and
Yeah.
it's like, duh, you're wasting your energy. Like, there's no point
Mm-hmm.
unless there's like some set agreement upon that. But anyway,
Right.
so Phoebe was manipulative, toxic. From what I'm hearing, it kind of just sounds like it just played out to the very end, right?
Yeah.
And she was the one who exploded, and then at that point, you're just like, okay, this. I'm just gonna head out now.
Yeah. Because I kind of already got a warning from my roommate Chandler, like saying, "Hey," because I've seen them be friends, I've seen them go through arguments, I've seen the patterns, right? But in my head, like I give them the benefit of the doubt. I always do that. It's really frustrating, but
Mm.
that's what I do. I just give them the benefit of the doubt, and then until I realize, you don't really know the red flags until like you've really seen it and reflected on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So, how about if this happened to you, like right now, Davi 2021?
Hmm.
What would have been like the first point that you would have just like cut it? You know what I mean?
The energy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't have continued to hang out with them when they were still friends, because I just remember hanging out with them and like while it was a fun time, I did not good. I should have trusted my gut. I didn't get good vibes from her.
Okay.
Like like hang out is fun, but at the end of the day, I was like, it's a little something off.
Yeah, and that PSA, you should definitely trust your gut, trust your instinct, and feel the energy. And I always feel like a hippie every time I say that. But y'all, I know you know what I'm talking about. That if the energy is off, if the vibe is off, then it's off. Like you don't need to question it. You don't have to have a good reason for it. If if the vibes are not good,
Hmm.
go to a place with good vibes,
Yeah.
please. So, yeah, dang. Well, snaps for that story.
Thank you.
These are my silent snaps because I can't
Yeah.
actually snap.
Oh, you can't. I can,
Thank
but
you,
like
Davi.
catching up. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll start with my story, and again, to protect the privacy of these people, we will use different names. And this friend is Harry Potter. I'm sorry, that was a really bad
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. You're really. I hate that. Harry Potter.
There you go.
And okay, thesis statement. Harry Potter was being a fake ass bitch and talking about me behind my back, yet being my best friend to my face.
Wow.
I
Typical
know.
backstab.
The audacity.
The audacity.
Yes. So I was actually really good friends with Harry for a long time, and I really did consider them a really good, like, best friend of mine. I always had a good time with Harry. I always felt like I had a lot of respect for Harry, and I thought our conversations were like really fun, and I always felt like Harry supported me too. You know what I mean? Now, come college time, and I have a shitty college job infested with like high school like esque drama. Yeah, it was horrible. And that's a long story for another day as well, to be quite honest. But basically, at that job, essentially what had happened is that Harry Potter and I worked at the same place. And actually, I do have to give a little bit of credit to Harry because Harry was the one who put in a good word for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened at the job was that other people in power were blaming me for things that I had not done.
Okay.
But because I was already the scapegoat in their mind, they had a really low perception of me. That perception leaked into the way that they treated me. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't professional. It's very obvious that they didn't like me. Very like I walk into the room and then everybody stops talking because they hate me kind of thing.
Dang.
I know, it fucking sucked.
Yeah, and like for no reason. It's like you literally probably did nothing.
Yeah, and it's like I'm sorry, that's that's a tangent. Basically, that was the vibe at the shitty job, right? So let me try and describe this petty high school hierarchy at this college job. So I was a supervisor, and there were other supervisors. However, there was a social structure that would supersede supervisors, right? There would be, imagine like the cool kids at the top and then the not cool kids at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And even though on paper I was a supervisor, I was not a cool kid.
Dang, that sucks.
I know, and
So
it's
they
like,
didn't take you seriously even though you had some authority.
and like I said, they thought that I had done like all these terrible things while on the job, which is why they're like, oh, Carolyn is so this and that, Carolyn is this and that, all these negative things.
Wow. That's so sad how rumors just kind of how they take place.
Harry Potter was part of the cool kids up here with literally all of the other supervisors. Like, I was the only supervisor who was a loser.
Mm.
Harry Potter was up there with the other cool kids. I was really embarrassed that I was essentially getting like bullied at my job, right?
Yeah, it's like you're an outcast for no reason.
Though a little tangent, I wonder if I should even like degrade it and call it like a high school issue because bullying can last a lifetime. Not even like
True.
as a trauma that stays with you, but literally like bullying at work when you're fucking 40 years old happens.
Yeah. Maybe you can like even include that disclosure. Like, hey, now I think about it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give it the brevity that it deserves, right?
Yes,
Because
I
there's a lot
agree.
of adult bully victims.
Yes, absolutely. Still hurtful.
Yeah, it's not something that changes over time. Like, if you're a bully and you don't get a wake up call, well, you're always going to be a bully.
Mhm.
Cool kids, basically, up here. And Harry Potter was part of the cool kids. I was a loser and I was really embarrassed. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. After that horrible job, I quit. I would say, I think 6 months to a year after I had left that whole thing, I was hanging out with Harry Potter and we were actually having a great ass time. Like, it was literally a really fun weekend. So much time has passed. I felt like secure enough to kind of like tell Harry Potter my story of
Okay.
what had happened to me because it really made me feel like so bad. And that's putting it lightly.
Yes.
Like, I would tell that story to my therapist. That's how bad it is. You know what I mean? I was telling Harry Potter the whole story, and Harry Potter, he's like listening to me, but he was never like surprised, you know?
So
It's
that means they
like,
probably heard it already.
exactly. Exactly. It's like Harry Potter was not reacting the way that you are, Dobby. And I've told the story to other people too, and they reacted in a way that I kind of expected them to and wanted them to. And what I mean is like the other people were like, oh my God, how dare they? That's horrible. Why would, it's like they couldn't fathom it because they're so like terrible, right? That's the reaction that I kind of like expected and what I want because it makes me feel a little more validated. Now, Harry Potter did not. he,
Fuck off. Harry Potter.
he did not react in that way. He reacted in a way that was unsurprised, to be quite honest. They were like, and I was a little put off, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together yet.
Right.
Now I get to a bit where I'm all like, there's this other supervisor there named Hermione. So now I'm talking about Hermione. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And, I don't think Hermione liked me. But if Hermione told you anything, Harry, don't tell me because I don't want to know what Hermione said about me because I want to feel good about myself right now.
Okay.
And to that, Harry Potter replied, quote, let's just say that Hermione had some choice opinions about you, end quote.
What? Okay,
right?
First of all, you legit just asked Harry, don't tell me shit. And 2, what does even choice opinions means?
Yeah, right. And, based on the context of our conversation, 99.9% Harry Potter meant that those choice opinions were very bad opinions.
Oh.
Very bad opinions. And also, I kind of know that because Hermione, like, never treated me well. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Harry Potter said that. I thought it was weird, but again, because we were in the moment and I was having a good time and I still consider Harry Potter a good friend, I was like, okay, interesting. But anyway, moving on. Harry Potter left. We finished hanging out. I was thinking about something that had happened earlier that day, and I had this neighbor. She's like literally 8 years old. It was when I was living at my apartments.
Okay.
And this like literally 8 years old. Like she's so sweet, a little child. Sometimes she'd be playing and then it gets dark and I'm all like, let me walk you back to your apartment. Stuff like that. Now, this little 8-year-old neighbor, let's call her Ginny. So Ginny, I'm just walking her back to her apartment because it was getting late and she was playing by herself. So I was talking to Ginny and Ginny was like, you and Nopal, who is my little black dog, and Tito are the only people who are nice to me.
Oh,
I know, and I was like, bitch, what are you talking about?
Like, you too, bitch.
Yeah.
You don't even fucking know.
Okay, so Ginny had literally said that to me earlier that day. And I was like, I just wanted more clarification because how she's 8, she shouldn't be having that problem.
I know. 2nd grade.
Yeah, so I'm like, what do you mean, Ginny? You have a lot of friends because I see her playing with all the other kids, right?
Oh, okay.
And she was all like, yeah, but they're not nice to me. And I'm like, damn. And I'm like, I guess they're not really your friends then. Ginny was like, yeah, but if I don't hang out with them, I'd have no one to hang out with.
Oh,
I know. And I was all like, fuck. Anyway, I gave her a little bit of advice, blah, 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 all that. I go back home and I'm feeling so bad for Ginny because I really like her. She always comes and pets my little dog, Nopal. And she's super sweet. And it made me really sad that she felt that way and that it was happening to her,
And as a child to already know that, like, they're so aware and smart.
Yeah.
You're just like, why at a young age are we already so mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that was on my mind. I called Harry Potter because I wanted Harry Potter to read my tarot cards for this situation, actually. Just because we were reading tarot cards earlier and it was like a fun thing we were doing. So I'm like, it'd be funny if I called him to read my tarot cards.
And I do want to bring up, like, when you were in the car with Harry and you told him, like, oh, don't tell me what Ginny has to say about me, or Hermione, has to say about me. And Harry was like, oh, well, what if I did tell you? I was like, what was the purpose of that? Is that you agreeing with Hermione? Like, what was the purpose? So anyway, I want to just say how my thought was now that you are going into the tarot card story.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean because for what purpose, I don't know, but I would say the only purpose is to stir the cauldron, So I call up Harry Potter and Harry Potter is at a party. He's a little drunk, which is fine. And I tell him, like, oh, I was talking to Ginny and she said she's being bullied and she's 8. And Harry Potter was like, that's what you want me to read your tarot cards for? And I was all like, yeah, it's like she's being bullied and she's literally 8. So that's
Yes.
kind of a bad thing. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
thought he didn't hear me because he was at a party. So I just
Right.
repeated what I said. And Harry was like, no, I heard what you said, but why do you care? Is basically what he said.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was all like, what do you mean? She's being bullied. Ginny is literally 8 years old. And Harry Potter was like, look, we all get bullied and she just needs to get over it and you don't have to do anything, is basically what he said to me.
Wow.
I was just sitting there like,
Mhm.
the audacity. It's like that was a huge separation in values, right? Like, how could I just stand
Yes.
and not do anything for Ginny? And look, maybe I didn't know what I could have done, but like, I couldn't just choose nothing as an option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like Harry's like, what's the point? There's like, what I hate it when people are fatalistic. Well, you
Yeah,
can't do anything about it, so don't do anything. It's like, no, you can. When someone's being bullied, you can step up.
exactly.
That sucks.
Yeah. So, basically, we wrapped up the conversation. I was like, you know what? I don't agree with what you're saying. That's kind of fucked up. Harry
Mm-hmm.
was all like, well, you know what I mean. It just, blah, blah, blah. I'm really drunk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm all like, I'm going to go to bed now. Good night. And I was just laying there in bed thinking about, like, there's the words that he had said about Ginny or
Mm-hmm.
how he feels about bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And also what he said or what he knew about Hermione. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And with all that information, finally I connected the motherfucking dots. And I was all like, oh, he was talking shit about me behind my back. He knew, and he
Wow.
didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Literally nothing. I went through that whole fiasco all by myself. Like, not
Yeah.
even once did Harry Potter come up to me and be like, are you okay? Do you want to, like, is everything going okay at your job? Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
I know something is probably going on because of all this shit that's being said.
Yeah, you must have felt so isolated and like hurt and just miserable every single meeting.
Yes, literally. That I think that is nails it on the head. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All those feelings, and I was grappling with the idea of like, oh, maybe I could just avoid it. Maybe I could just ghost him. Maybe I should just blah blah
Right.
blah. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? This person is someone who I considered my best friend, and even though they're a bitch, I
Mm-hmm.
still kind of respect them, And
Yeah.
I also respect myself, so I just need it to end, right?
Yes. Okay, cool. So I took the ghosting approach, you took the direct approach.
Right. And honestly, it was more for my own sake because I knew if I ghosted, it would just be dragged on, and I
Mm,
was already, in turmoil. If I just cut it off, then it will heal faster. I
a
went to
bit.
Harry's house.
Oh,
Um,
damn, you went to their front porch. You bitch, open up. Harry.
I
Harry.
I texted Harry. I was like, "Hey, can I come over?" And they were like, "Yeah, what for?" And I'm all like, "I just want to come over. It won't take too long at all." Went over to Harry's place. I was like, "Can you come out?" No, Harry was like, "Oh, come inside." I was like, "No, you should come out here." They're like, "Okay." They come
Mhm.
out and they're like, "Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" And I was like,
Oh.
Because after what happened at the shitty job, I told you what happened and it makes me feel bad. And basically, I don't want to be friends with anyone from that job, and that includes you. And they were like, okay. And I was like, so that's that. And, I wish you all the best. And I just need to heal, So
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
And they took it perfectly fine. Though, honestly, Harry Potter was not really a confrontational person anyway. So I
Oh,
couldn't
okay.
imagine them acting up in any kind of way to
Oh,
be.
I see. Okay.
That was that. I cried on my drive home because I
Oh,
was so sad.
yeah.
Um, my other friends, comforted me through it. Tito was a big help as well, of course. Tito, my fiance.
Yes.
And I blocked Harry Potter on every social media, and now my life is great.
Yeah. Wow, Carolyn.
Yeah,
Oh, shit. Honest.
yeah,
Yeah, what a story. Like, goes to show if you're passive, like Harry was when, you had a very strong inclination, which is probably true that the supervisors we're all talking shit about you, you know, and he didn't even like do anything. I'm assuming he didn't even try to defend you, or if he did, then he's still hanging out with them and not even telling you about it.
Right.
That's not a, yeah, I think you're right. It's not a friend. It's like he's just like being okay with your misery. People are smart. They know who's an outcast quick.
And, it was painful because, it wasn't like I was delusional and I was the only one calling him my best friend. Like, we were both calling each other best friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's really, the words that you use, isolation and like miserable and stuff like that.
Sorry. Yeah. I think I want to like, what's it called? Attribute it if you didn't feel that way. But I just imagine that's how you felt. I don't know.
No, that's a really good description. Like, okay. I would say perfect, to be quite honest. But it's like, those are good words, but there's really no way I could even like articulately sum up how like horrible, desperate, and full of despair it actually made me feel to be in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's why storytelling is so powerful, because like we don't there's not one encompassing word for that experience.
That's so true. Yeah. Confronting someone, like, yes, I did have that pit into my stomach. I was nervous all day because I knew
I bet.
that morning, that day, I was going to do it no matter what. And I wanted to do it to their face because, like I said, I still respected them. I didn't feel like I was endangered,
Oh, sure.
So that's a big factor as well.
I like that approach. Go on.
Because I called them my best friend, I'm like, I got to give them that much. And
you
obviously,
didn't have to, but you wanted to.
Yeah. And literally, even though I did cry on the way home, because I don't know, I just feel like it's a natural feeling to do after you literally break up with someone.
Yeah, friendship breakups, they're real.
Yes, and that's painful,
Yeah.
I literally did feel so good after that.
That's good.
Like,
yeah.
The weight was gone. I could move forward. Like, it was amazing. That's why I'm more I advocate more for confronting people.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't judge people who ghost people, because honestly, it really depends on the situation, and I feel like both are viable options.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because like you'll hear in my next story, I also ghosted the next person. And some people I'm like, damn, Davy, you fucking coward.
No.
No. But it's funny. Like I know like people think that no matter what. So it's just kind of like I'm just saying it out loud. But I have like directly like told a friend I don't want to be friends with them before. Just to put it out there. Okay.
Yeah. And just so y'all know.
Yeah, it is really scary, but I did feel really good about it because that way, it's very clear.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be like, and this was like a former high school friend. I felt like she was a good friend to me, but again, the cons outweighed the pros. It just wasn't working. I felt like I did want to tell her because, that's the very least I could do for that friendship.
I vibe with that.
Yeah.
And we're going to wrap up the episode here. Thank you again for listening to Just Two Asian Women. Again, this is Carolyn, one half of Just Two Asian Women, and we appreciate you listening to our podcast. You can listen to Just Two Asian Women on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. If you ever want to get in touch with us, feel free to send us an email at justtwoasianwomen@gmail.com. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye!